Hello and welcome back to welcome to the first proper episode of Let's Play Kaiserreich. The view needs changing. I've just realised. Okay, yeah, this is the terrain view, right, of the world map you can see here. Terrain is very important in this game in terms of when you're fighting wars and things and moving troops around and that kind of thing. However, I still prefer to play it on this mode, which is the political map mode, simply because it's the easiest to look at. It's the easiest on the eyes. You can see where all the national borders are and all that kind of thing. So anyway, yeah, here we are, mighty Mother Russia. Rather large, but not large enough. At least I say so. I've noticed, by the way, that my Let's Plays seem to, in fact, I think all my Let's Plays so far, bar one, have been about, or have involved mods in some way or another. And that's not something I planned. It just seems to have turned out that way. But that's fine, you know. If it becomes some sort of theme, then whatever. That's cool. I've lowered the resolution a bit as well. Because I went back and looked at the intro video I had recorded and decided, no, sorry, that's just, I might have a nice big monitor, but that's just way too large for the YouTube video in terms of like how small the text is. I've reduced it by about one size. If it's still too big or small or whatever, do let me know, and I'll do something about it. Anyway, time to get started. Let's see, we are in charge of Russia. It's 1936, January the 1st. I currently have the game paused, because as soon as I unpause it, we're going to get hit by lots and lots of pop-up boxes with information in them. So, things to note. We have an incredibly low industrial capacity. Now, industrial capacity is, as the tooltip here will kindly remind us, industrial capacity is the production capacity of your industry, so all your factories basically in the entire country. Industrial capacity is the base kind of statistic from which the entire game works. You use industrial capacity to build units, you use it to upgrade existing units, you use it to make money, you use it for pretty much everything. It's very important. And Russia does not have a lot of it, which obviously is bad. In fact, we have a grand total of 91 industrial capacity, or IC for short. We have 91 IC, which is terrible for a country of our size, especially. Germany, for example, pretty much the most powerful country on planet Earth at this point in time, has 182 industrial capacity. That's essentially, in fact, that's exactly double what Russia has. France has 114, which is rounded up to an effective 150 due to bonuses. Britain 111. The United States has 255 because America has such a massive industrial base. So yes, as you can see, we have some catching up to do with the West, which was true in real life, but doubly so here. Because we are just so far behind. Again, I'm military as well. You can see if I click on one of my armies down here, you can see each division of infantry. They are, I'm not entirely sure, yeah, the tech level 8. Tech level 8, which 8 probably sounds great, but actually it's not. It's absolutely terrible. Because the tech level 8 here is taking into account all the previous levels of infantry, going all the way back to sort of the pre-First World War levels. And to keep it simple, it is tagged next to the name of the unit here, infantry. It's tagged the historical kind of year from which their equipment and training is basically based. So these infantry here are 1926 quality infantry. So these guys are using equipment, training and technology that would befit an army in 1926 as opposed to an army in 1936, which basically means our entire army is 10 years out of date, which means if we were to go into a major war right now with a major power like Germany or whoever, we would get so thoroughly beaten it would not even be funny. So that's another priority. So our main priorities at the minute are to build up our industrial capacity, so industrialize essentially, and to modernize our army, so we can deal with any future invasions. And let me tell you, it's all going to kick off in Europe very, very soon, and pretty much everywhere else too. America, for instance, is going to go into the shitter pretty fast and pretty soon, and what happens in America very soon is going to dictate a lot of the way the rest of the game unfolds, certainly for me as Russia, but I'll get to that when it actually happens. So, with that brief intro out of the way, let's get started. We have the intelligence screen. I'll kind of explain everything as I'm going along. We have the intelligence screen first of all, which is how you manage your spies, essentially. You use spies to obviously spy on the enemy, and also to operate in your own country as counter spies to take out enemy intelligence units that are operating within your own borders. And you can use spies for a bunch of different things, like you can use them to steal enemy technology, to gather info on their armed forces, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. To raise dissent in other countries and stuff like that, to increase the risk of revolts and things. So intelligence is a pretty important part of the game. What we really need to focus on at the moment is our direct neighbours, I think, and the sort of main superpowers involved. So I'm talking about sort of mainly stuff like Ukraine, for example, is a main deal, because we're going to want to get the Ukraine back, really, as Russia. They have a lot of industrial capacity sitting around, which used to be ours, but we need it back. So we need to essentially put a good deal of effort into finding out as much as we can about them. Now, the way this is done is by, I'm not entirely sure exactly, I must say, on how the ins and outs of how spying on this works, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit auto spying on. I'm going to add a country, which is us. I've now added, I think, to our spying list. In fact, yeah, if we enable auto spying, that will allow us to sort of direct which countries we actually aim our intelligence efforts at specifically. Now, mainly I think we want to be focusing on Germany, obviously, just to get our foot in the door in terms of spies and things. I'm not going to focus on any missions for now. I'm just going to focus on putting the priority for them up to the maximum. Germany will, one way or another, be our main foe in the coming years. So I want to get plenty of intel on them. Ukraine, again, like I said, they're a pretty important deal too. We'll bump that priority up to around 60. Donkuban Union, again, that's relatively important. I'll keep the priority around 40 for them. Japan are another problem country to deal with sometimes. It really depends on what happens in the game. I mean, no two games of Kaiserreich, I must admit, will ever be the same for you, even if you're playing as the same country. I think that's the general rule. That's one of the reasons I like it so much. In some games, for example, Japan can get quite uppity with Russia and go to war with them, but in others, they just completely ignore one another. In this case, however, I'm going to put a little bit of effort into sending some spies there just to keep an eye on them, because I don't really know yet what they're going to do. And for now that'll do. That's all I really need. Technology. Technology is not something I'm going to touch on just yet, for a very simple reason. Something's going to happen very soon, which is going to make any attempts at researching any new technology for military or industry or otherwise. These are all the different things you can research. There's a very big and extensive tech tree in this game for you to work your way through. But I'm not going to research anything yet, because something that's going to happen quite soon is going to basically render anything we do research null and void. This is the economy screen, and this is like sort of probably the most important screen you get. From here, you can control what units you're producing, how many supplies you're making for your armies, reinforcements for your troops already in the field, and how much money you've devoted to consumer goods, which is essentially how much money your country makes as a general whole. And it's sort of an effective way of combating dissent in your country. And dissent is measured up here at the top of the screen, and that's sort of basically how likely partisans and revolts are likely to occur within your borders, and that can be a very big pain. Some people I know like to actually turn off using the console. I actually like to turn off revolts altogether because they just find them irritating. I try to keep them on as much as I can. But anyway, first things first, we're on the economy screen now. Apparently, for some reason, we're building a destroyer and 2 submarines. God knows why. That's not going to help us in any way whatsoever. Russia's navy is an absolute joke. No two ways about it. And at this point, wasting any time building outdated ships to supplement our already outdated navy, especially when you've got the combined British Navy and German Kriegsmarine, which is the biggest navy in the world at this point, floating around, there's just no point whatsoever in doing that. Navy is a very low priority on our list. It will come later. So I'll get rid of those. We're not going to build anything yet. Not anything at all. Our entire industrial machine, what little there is of it, is going to go into reinforcing our troops already operating on our borders, because a lot of them aren't even at their full strength. We need all our divisions at full strength. As you can see here, the little reinforcement, the little strength bar at the side here is very, very low for all of them, and that means that even if they are well trained and ready to go, they have high organisation, stuff like that, if their strength is really low, as in they literally have, you know, almost no men in each division, if they're all undermanned, they're going to get completely screwed in even a small scale war. So the first thing we need to do is reinforce everyone. Get all our divisions back up to full strength. So that's what we need to do for that. Diplomacy, again, this is just sort of the screen used to interact with other different countries. It also controls your internal political system to a certain degree. You have a bunch of slides here which sort of control the makeup and policies of your country. So, for example, we have a slide here between democratic and authoritarian, political left and political right, open society, closed society, etc., etc., etc. You get the idea. You can move this. You can move any one slider once every year in the game, in a direction you like. So you have to choose which one you want to do carefully, because moving a slider in a certain direction will have a number of effects, as you can see here when you mouse over them. What I'm going to do is click once over to Hawk Lobby. Hawk Lobby is the Hawk Lobby Dove Lobby slider is basically a measure of how geared towards war your country is, essentially. How much effort they're putting in towards war, how aggressive they are on the world stage, essentially. Having a high Hawk Lobby, generally speaking, is better than having a high Dove Lobby, because it means you get more industrial capacity, which means you can build more stuff, essentially. And building lots of stuff is the key to winning in this game, really, at the end of the day. So we're going to leave that. We are not going to touch any of... You see, this is our cabinet. We have the Prime Minister, or the President, or whatever, the head of state, essentially, the head of government, Foreign Minister, Armaments Minister, Minister of Security, Head of Intelligence, Chief of Staff, Chief of the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. And you can change them, each different type of different ministry you have. Those are all real people, also, again, worth pointing out. They have a bunch of different bonuses and penalties associated with them, and you can change them depending on what your current strategy is. I'm going to leave them all alone, because our cabinet is going to get shuffled around like nobody's business due to a bunch of events which are going to take place very shortly. That is essentially all there is to it. All I have to say on the matter of how things are set up. So I'm going to unpause it now and just get going. This is where the fun starts.